life tends to evolve in these sort of natural ways where things happen and you find a path that you weren't anticipating. And when I came out of my undergraduate years, when I got my undergraduate degree, I was searching around for something to do to continue my work as a studio artist. And at the time, the federal government had a program called the CETA program. And it provided money to local governments to hire artists. This is something I don't normally talk about, but Miami-Dade County government had a large block grant from the federal government to hire artists. And I saw the ad, that they were looking to hire artists to work in the community. And so I applied and I got hired by the county as an artist. And for a year and a half, almost every other day, I was farmed out to a different location to work as an artist with a group. So I went to community centers, I went to elementary schools, I did workshops at the Jackson Memorial Hospital burn clinic with burn victims in the arts. I painted murals in mental institutions, and it was a fascinating process for a year and a half of discovering the community and discovering how the arts could be deployed to help change people's lives. And then at the end of that tenure, the people that ran the program, I was one of their more reliable artists, right? Some people wouldn't show up. There were writers, there were musicians, but they could always count on me to actually show up when I was supposed to show up. So they farmed me out to the Bass Museum, which had been closed. And the Bass Museum closed at the time because there was a scandal about the misattribution of the artworks in the collection. And they asked Carl Weinhardt, who was then director of Vizcaya, to go over and to recurate the Bass collection and reopen the museum. And Carl needed help. And so they said, oh, we got this reliable guy, we'll give you him, and you and Carl can go through the whole collection, and you can rehang the whole thing. And you have 3 months to do all of it. Now, Carl, his distinguishing factor was he was an amazing guy, but he was at the time the youngest curator ever to be hired by the Metropolitan Museum in New York. And then he went from the Met here to Miami to become the director of Vizcaya. So Carl and I spent 3 months in the closed Bass Museum with curators from all over the world coming in to look at the artworks, to rehang the collection. And it gave me a taste of what it was like to do administration in the arts. And the wonder of the behind-the-scenes things that happen to make museums function and work. And so I went from there to becoming an assistant curator at the then moved Metropolitan Museum, which moved to the Biltmore Country Club, and worked there for about a year and a half. And it also gave me an idea of how tenuous the existence of some of these museums were, because the Metropolitan Museum was always struggling to make its payroll every 2 weeks. And a friend of mine who worked in the school at the Metropolitan got a job with the Arts Council. And her name was Betty, and Betty said to me, hey, I'll see if there's an opportunity for you there too, because there's a new director that just got hired by the county to run it was then known as the Council of Arts and Sciences. So I got a call from the guy who was the director, Ken Kahn, and he said, understand you're interested in the job, and Betty speaks highly of you. Meet me at the Bacardi building. They're having a big outdoor event there, and we'll talk. There were like hundreds of people there. I had no idea what this guy looked like. And so after about 45 minutes of wandering around, we ran into each other, and we talked for about 20 minutes, and he said, you're hired. She said, show up tomorrow. And that's how I began my career here. I'm moving from the museum to the then Council of Arts and Science. It was Betty, Ken, and I. The three of us were here.